Imagine sitting alone in your living room when suddenly, without warning, you burst into flames. No candles, no fireplace, just you, engulfed, leaving only ash and mystery behind. Sounds impossible, right? Yet, this bizarre phenomenon known as spontaneous human combustion has puzzled scientists, baffled investigators, and fueled countless conspiracy theories for decades. From victims reduced to ashes while their surroundings are left untouched, to theories involving everything from methane gas to the supernatural, SHC remains one of the strangest, unsolved mysteries of our time. But what's the truth? Let's dive into the eerie world of someone who just might catch fire. Out of nowhere. Spontaneous human combustion is the mysterious and controversial phenomenon where a person allegedly bursts into flames without any apparent external source of ignition. Victims are often found reduced to ash, with only their extremities, like hands or feet, remaining intact, and their surroundings suffering minimal signs of damage, which makes it even the more creepier. While SHC is extremely rare and widely debated, cases have been reported as far back as the 17th century. Some believe it's a result of internal chemical reactions, such as a build-up of flammable gases like methane in the body, combined with a spark from static electricity. Others propose the wick effect. That was my stomach if you heard that, where the body burns slowly, like a candle fueled by body fat. However, skeptics always argue that there's an external source, like the drop of a cigarette, that goes unnoticed. Or maybe the gasoline poured on the floor beforehand, but who knows? SHC sits at the crossroads of science, myth, and mystery, leaving us to wonder, is it a freak accident of nature, or something more sinister? Today we're talking about the case of Mary Reeser, often cited as one of the most famous instances of spontaneous human combustion. On the morning of July 2nd, 1951, quiet neighborhood of St. Petersburg, Florida, became the epicenter of one of the strangest and most bizarre cases in human history. Mary Hardy Reeser, a 67-year-old widow, was discovered in her small apartment under circumstances that defied explanation. Her body had been almost entirely reduced to ash, leaving behind only her foot, still wearing its slipper, part of her spine, and what witnesses described as a shrunken skull. But here's the truly eerie part. The destruction was limited to her body and immediate surroundings. The rest of her apartment was relatively untouched, with newspapers on a nearby table unburned, and walls only slightly darkened by soot. What kind of fire can burn so intensely to consume a human body but leave its surrounding environment intact? This case became an enduring enigma, often cited as a prime example of alleged spontaneous human combustion. That's a mouthful every time. I'm so sorry. I can see why they abbreviated it now. But was Mary's death truly a case of SHC, or was there a more grounded explanation lurking beneath the surface? Let's dig deeper. Mary Reeser moved close to St. Petersburg to be with her son, Dr. Richard Reeser, after her husband's death. She was described as a kind, soft-spoken woman who lived alone in her modest apartment. On the evening of July 1st, 1951, Mary reportedly took a couple of sleeping pills before settling down in her armchair. She was last seen alive by her landlady, Mrs. Carpenter, who brought her a telegram around 9 p.m. The next morning, Mrs. Carpenter noticed something strange. Mary's apartment door was warm to the touch, and she couldn't get a response when she knocked. She called the police, who forced their way inside, and they were met I'm very hungry, okay? She called the police, who forced their way inside and were met with a grisly scene that would haunt them for years. The first responders found Mary's remains in her chair, or what was left of it. Her body had been almost entirely reduced to ash, save for her left foot and some spinal fragments. Her skull had reportedly shrunk significantly, a detail that baffled investigators and remains hotly debated to this day. The immediate area around the chair showed signs of extreme heat. A small table lamp beside her chair had melted, and some plastic household items had warped. The electric clock on the wall had stopped at 4:20 a.m.
Nice.
Possibly marking the time of the event. Yet, bizarrely, the damage did not extend beyond this confined area. Newspapers stacked nearby were intact, and there was no evidence of a fire spreading through the apartment. Authorities quickly ruled out an external fire source. There were no signs of gas leak or electrical malfunctions, and no accelerants were found at the scene. Mary's body had been burned at temperatures exceeding 1093 degrees Celsius, or 2000 Fahrenheit, a level of heat typically only achieved in crematoriums. Even more puzzling, cremation requires such temperatures to be sustained for hours. Yet Mary's apartment showed no signs of such prolonged exposure. The case was so perplexing that Dr. Wilton Krogman, a renowned physical anthropologist from the University of Pennsylvania, was brought in to consult. I find it hard to believe that a human body, once ignited, will literally consume itself. This is contrary to normal experience, and I regard it as the most amazing thing I have ever seen. Krogman also remarked on the alleged shrinking of Mary's skull, calling it unprecedented and contrary to the typical expansion caused by extreme heat. Over the decades, many theories have been proposed to explain the Reeser case, ranging from the plausible to the downright fantastical. But the four most popular ones are: The wick effect, where the body's fat acts as a fuel source. In this theory, Mary's flammable nightgown may have caught fire from a cigarette or other heat source. As her fat melted, it sustained a fire, in a similar process as to how a candle burns. This theory, while plausible, does not explain the extraordinary intensity of the fire or the lack of damage to her surroundings. Accidental combustion, which is our favourite today. Some investigators suggested that Mary may have been doused in an accelerator, either intentionally or accidentally. However, no traces of accelerants were ever found during the investigation, leaving this theory without concrete evidence. A more fringe theory involves ball lighting, or some form of electromagnetic anomaly that could have caused a localized intense fire. While there is no evidence to support this, it is often cited in paranormal circles. In the absence of clear answers, some have speculated supernatural, including curses or even divine intervention. These theories are, of course, entirely unsubstantiated, but highlight the fear and the fascination surrounding the case. And then on the 7th of July 1951, the St. Petersburg police chief sought help from the FBI by sending them evidence from Mary Reeser's unusual death. The items included fragments of glass found among the ashes, 6 items that were believed to be teeth, part of the carpet, and a portion of a charred slipper that remained on her left foot. In an accompanying letter, they asked for insight on how such extensive destruction on a human body could occur without significant damage to the rest of the room. The FBI concluded that Mary Reeser's death was a result of the wick effect. Given her known use of sleeping pills, she must have fallen asleep with a cigarette burning and set fire to herself. According to their report, once a body begins burning, body fat and other flammable materials can sustain the fire, potentially leading to almost complete incineration. In a statement to the press, Reeser's daughter-in-law echoed the explanation, suggesting that a dropped cigarette may have ignited her nightclothes. She noted that Reeser's body provided the fuel necessary to maintain the fire, and that the cement floor and isolated position of the chair contributed to containing the blaze. This explanation, while widely circulated, has done little to fully dispel the lingering questions surrounding the peculiar circumstances of the case. Mary Reeser's death remains one of the most infamous examples of spontaneous human combustion, baffling enthusiasts and experts alike. Was her demise the result of a tragic accident, a natural anomaly, or something more mysterious? Even in the world of modern science, there are some questions that we simply cannot answer. Mary's story serves as a chilling reminder that the boundaries that we know of may not be as solid as we think. What do you guys think? Do you think she dropped the cigarette, fell on her nightgown, and she burst into flames? Or do you think it's something more mysterious? I like to believe that it was spontaneous human combustion, just for the sake of believing that spontaneous human combustion is actually a thing. There's nothing to really solidify it. There are some more recent cases as well. You'll have to let me know if you want me to tackle more. I don't mind. There's not many cases to go over, so we could do them. Let me know in the comments what you want to see next, what you want to see me tackle. I do all kinds of things. I think my next video is probably going to be a little bit more comical. I do serious videos and then I do more comical ones, and I think it's time for a more comical one. Yes, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope this was as fascinating to you as it was to me. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already. I'm really trying to get to 6,000 subscribers at the moment. We're currently on 5,693. And it's slowly going backwards. I know that a lot of older subscribers are leaving because I used to do strictly gaming stuff on here, but still, I want to see the number go up a little bit, please, and thank you. And as per usual, thank you so much for making it this far. I love you all, take care, and I'll see you in a bit.